Thank God.
Yeah, just say that on the camera.
We got 7 people here. Probably falling asleep by now. So from my last speech a couple of weeks ago, you guys probably remember that I talked about living in Alabama for a few years. When I was about 6 or 7, my mom and I went through the drive-thru at Domino's once, and we ended up getting a pizza that was burnt to a crisp and paper thin, and the customer service was terrible. And that, even at that age, I realized that there is still a lot of discrimination that goes on in this country and just in general interactions, and that we'll probably never get rid of it. You know, we are a nativist country, and we have this human propensity to discriminate based on the things that are different than us. This pizza story taught me a lesson, really, that we judge others based on language or dialect or even just how they look. We fear the unknown and the foreign, and that we are simply selfish by nature. So first, I'd like to talk about how we judge by language usage. And my mom, she learned English from a Chinese guy. She is from Colombia in South America, so she has this certain dialect to her. And we tend to rate intelligence based on how well we can articulate and how well we can present ourselves to other people with our language. We detect normality and base personality based on these preconceived notions that we have about other people, about what should be normal. Next, I'd like to talk about nativism and how there's a human propensity to discriminate against the abnormal. We are a country of immigrants that hates immigrants, and that's just true. Throughout our history, this is true. It has been proven true. We are a nation founded on white Anglo-Saxon Protestant values. And throughout our history, our nativism has shown in many different instances. For example, the immigration laws of the 1880s both taxed and limited immigrants coming into the country. The Texas Constitution of 1876, our current Constitution, is still based on the post-Reconstruction ideas that encouraged Jim Crow laws. And finally, the Japanese concentration camps that were set up during World War II after Pearl Harbor. That was nativism, a really good example. Finally, I'd like to talk about our human selfishness. It seems like a couple of the philosophers kind of illuminate this idea. I'd like to quote Thomas Hobbes, the 18th century Enlightenment philosopher, who says, quote, "No man giveth but with intention of good to himself, because gift is voluntary, and all voluntary acts the object to every man is his own pleasure." In other words, we're just selfish by nature, right? Next, I'd like to quote Niccolo Machiavelli, which was a 16th century Florentine political philosopher, and he says, quote, "Love is held together by a chain of obligation that, since men are a wretched lot, is broken on every occasion for their own self-interest. But fear is sustained by a dread of punishment that will never abandon you." Here Machiavelli is talking about to hold on to power, how it is more important to use fear than love, because love is held together is broken by selfishness, while fear is not. Finally, I'd like to quote Ayn Rand, a conservative philosopher, and she says, quote, "The actor must always be the beneficiary of his action, and that man must act for his own rational self-interest." And what she's saying here, when she advocates capitalism, is the fact that we are inherently selfish, so it only makes sense for us to go after those selfish interests because everyone else is going to do the same. So finally, that pizza story when I was 6 or 7 years old taught me a really valuable lesson. We judge others based on language or dialect, we fear the unknown and the foreign, and we are simply selfish by human nature. And how we can relate that to human relations and the work environment here is that, we evaluate others on appearance, age, size, language, origin, sex. We have to look deeper and be able to judge others by actions. We can apply this to all customer service. We have a couple of interesting characters that walk in our doors, and we have to treat them equally as humans and as other equal people besides our preconceived notions of whatever we think is normal. I think if we apply this in an everyday thing, that we can improve our customer service overall.